So, without further ado, let's just start. And before we start, let me introduce what kind of expertise I have. I don't have much. I come from a marketing background, and regarding my podcast and whatever I have seen people, I think one kind of industry is saying like AI would take over coding and stuff like that. I don't know how to use AI better, but especially like coding part, I think tiny fixes are being made better by coding. But like if you want to uh, make a calculator or a tic-tac-toe app, yes, coding has been better. But if you want to have a MCP server in Cursor, I think it's not worth it. I have tried it and it's not working as much as I want to. So let's just chat with our AI assistant in order to make it. I really don't depend on computer and laptop too much because I like pen and paper stuff. That kind of frees my mind. So this was my initial proposal. If you can read, it's a dumb idea at the moment. So corely, either I can make a software using make.com or N810, if I'm not wrong. I know make.com, I have used it, N8 and I have not. So I need a RabbitMQ server for as a messaging broker. So this was like me overstating the project. So I wanted a messaging bot, I wanted LinkedIn outreach, a email outreach, a job application bot, and everything. Right now I'm like just boiling it down to just one thing. My main USP is like, and this vector database, blah blah blah, it's all very technical. I don't want to go through this, but I want to simplify it for you and also talk to ChatGPT. I think that would be the best idea, because who else is better to explain these technical stuffs and excuse me, technical stuff and long. Like this ChatGPT stuff is way better when you need to go through a lot of documentation and you need to summarize the documentation. I think this chat gpt stuff is way better than any human. I think that portion would be replaced by it. But creative decisions and how do I structure and my new ideas on how to solve a problem or strategy would be way better on a human side. So that's my take. So I'm not going to bother or bore you on that. Let's go. Hi. Hello. At just 5 seconds ago, the premium membership was there. Yes, now. Oh, no. Come on, man. Come on. Wi-Fi on. Wi-Fi is on. I think let's create a new bot. I think this is the thing. Okay. Hello there.
Hey there, how's it going? What's on your mind today?
Okay, I need you to be like a really Google level certified programmer for today. And you and me are like a co founder for our new AI driven job application bot. You're the technical head. Let me be the CEO, or you can be the co founder or co CEO, CFO, or anything, or probably CTO, Chief Technical Officer. And you have to manage your resources in order to code and stuff like that. Also, give us a picture, because I don't know how the programming world has been evolved and what I should be using, but I kind of have an idea. So let me be the idea person and you be the execution person, and let's just work and figure out how we solve a particular problem. Is that fine?
That sounds like a fun dynamic. I'm happy to take on the CTO role and help out with the technical side of things. So let me know what kind of idea you're working on, and we can figure out the best tools, languages, and frameworks to bring it to life.
Great. So the basic idea is we are going to make a job application bot using screen pipe. So if you go through internet and search over, you will find something known as screen pipe. So they have a really good service of using desktop API, much like Anthropic has, like Anthropic desktop API. So I want to use that, but my app or my AI's best USP or unique selling point is like the person can actually see the AI controlling the computer screen and applying anything, right? And this has an LLM behind it which makes the decision. So the screen pipe actually gives an output. If I'm not wrong, you can correct me at any point. This is right now just a discussion on how the software should be looking like. So after the AI or the screen pipe has taken control over the screen, it gives out, if I'm not wrong, if it gives out a JSON output, right? Whatever is in the screen, it gives out a JSON output. So there should be an LLM, Olama, ChatGPT, or anything. Let's just start with a really MVP product, very minimum viable product, and build it in such a way that I can change the language model. Like if I have a newer language model like Olama or ChatGPT is better than Olama, then I can use ChatGPT. So I have to have the flexibility to change that. And thirdly, there should also be a database which is separate from this. Like I understand that ChatGPT needs a database to train and stuff like that, but there should be a separate database so that I can store how the bot is being trained, and my training data is not only in ChatGPT or Olama. I need a separate space, a Google Drive or anything. I'm not sure how that work. A database, a vector database store where the trained AI lives, if it makes sense. Like, do you have any kind of suggestion, or how would you go through solving this problem? If you don't understand the whole concept of this app, you could ask me questions as well. So go.
I love the concept. It sounds like a really innovative tool. Just to make sure I'm on the same page, it seems like we're aiming for a bot that can visually interact with a computer screen using something like ScreenPipe to get that visual data and turn it into a structured format like JSON. Then we have an LLM making decisions based on that data and performing actions on the screen. For the tech stack, I think using a modular approach would be great. We can start with a flexible LLM integration, maybe begin with something like OpenAI's GPT model
That be
or Llama. And
sorry. Go on, please.
no worries at all. So, along with the LLM, we can have a separate database or vector store for training data and other information. Something like Pinecone or a local vector database could be really handy for that. We'll also want to make sure that the overall architecture is modular so we can easily update components as we go. Does that sound good to you?
That sound amazing. So before we build, please share the options. Like I have said ChatGPT, I had said ScreenPipe, I had said vector database. Like how would you approach this problem though?
I think the first step would be to break it down into a few key components. For the visual interaction part, ScreenPipe definitely sounds like a great option, but we could also look into other automation tools like Selenium or even something like Auto IT, depending on how we want the bot to interact with the screen. For the LLM, starting with something like GPT-4 is a great idea since it's robust and well documented. And for flexibility, we can keep an eye on other models like Llama or even something open source so we can swap them out if needed. For the database or vector store, something like Pinecone or Weaviate would be great for storing embeddings and training data. And then for the overall architecture, we can use something like a microservices approach so each piece is independent and can be updated as needed. That way we stay flexible and scalable.
Sorry, what were you saying about that Microsoft stuff?
Oh, I was mentioning a microservices approach, which basically means breaking the system into smaller independent services that can communicate with each other. This way, if we want to update one component, like the LLM, or if we want to change the database, we can do that without affecting the entire system. It just helps with scalability and flexibility in the long run.
That makes sense. So I also want to update you. At the moment, I'm using Cursor as well. Is there any way I can connect you to Cursor?
Got it. Cursor's a pretty handy tool for coding and using AI assistants. While I can't directly connect to it myself, you can definitely use me alongside Cursor. You can ask me questions or get help with code and then use Cursor to implement or test out the suggestions. It's a great combo.
That makes sense. So based on you, like if you were going through, like where should we start? Should we start, like I have made screen pipe in my terminal, and I kind of spent like a week or so fixing bugs and stuff and learning about screen pipe. So can we use screen pipe at the moment, or do you think auto it or selenium would be a better option?
If you've already spent some time getting comfortable with ScreenPipe and have it working and debugged, I think it makes total sense to start with that since you already have that foundation. We can always explore other options like Selenium or Auto IT later if we need more functionality or if we run into any limitations. But it's always good to start with what you know and build from there.
I think why I choose ScreenPipe was because it's open source. Is Auto IT and Selenium open source and free though?
Yeah, that's a great point. Selenium is definitely open source and widely used for browser automation. So that's a solid alternative if you ever want to explore that route. Auto IT is free as well, though it's not open source in the same way as Selenium, but it does offer a lot of flexibility for automating Windows applications. So you definitely have some good options depending on what direction you want to take in the future.
I'm having a Mac OS at the moment. So cut down the options which doesn't have a Mac OS issues.
Got it. Since you're on macOS, Selenium is a great cross-platform choice, so it should work seamlessly. Auto IT, on the other hand, is more Windows focused, so it might not be as straightforward on a Mac. Stick with ScreenPipe and maybe keep Selenium as a backup option. That way, you won't run into any compatibility issues.
That makes sense. So regarding ChatGPT, like the LLM, I am using ChatGPT 4. I think that's a good thing. And regarding the database stuff, which should I be using, Vector or Pinecone? And also tell me like what is the difference between them, and why should I be the reason why I should select anyone.
So when it comes to vector databases, both Pinecone and Weaviate are really solid options. They
Pinecone
essentially
and
serve the same purpose, which is to store and quickly search through vector embeddings, which is super useful for LLMs and things like semantic search. Pinecone is known for being very user friendly with great documentation and easy integration. Weaviate, on the other hand, is also open source and has some cool features like built in machine learning models and flexible schema options. Either one would work well, so it might come down to which interface and feature set you prefer, but you can't go wrong with either choice.
got it. uh, and what was the microservice that you were saying?
A microservices approach is basically a way of structuring your application so that it's broken down into smaller independent services that each handle a specific part of the functionality. For example, one service might handle the LLM interactions, another might handle the visual data from ScreenPipe, and another might manage the database or vector store. Each of these services can communicate with each other through APIs. This way, if you ever need to update or scale one part of the application, you can do that without affecting the others.
That
It
makes
makes
sense.
everything more.
That makes sense. So if somebody wants to build this application and there is a proposal, like how do you as chat gpt want it to be given to you, like an llm? How, can you create a documentation outside this chat, like voice chat, on how you would like to see this one build, like what would be the prompt or what would be the ideal documentation that or the user should give to you in order to build it. And uh, because you are an LLM, you have restrictions like human talking language might be different. So you should also incorporate logic and issues like that as well. And also, I'm not a very big developer, so I do not foresee the challenges that is coming down before building this app. So can you just create a Word document outside of this chat for me, stating this proposal so that I can give it to Cursor, and if that works, it can also understand the project better.
I can definitely help you outline what that documentation should look like and what kind of information would be useful to include. But I can't create a Word document outside of this chat directly. However, I can guide you through the structure. You'd want to include things like the overall project goal, a brief description of the main components like ScreenPipe for visual data, the LLM for decision making, and a vector database for storing embeddings, and some details on how the components will interact. And of course, highlighting any potential challenges and how you plan to address them would be helpful as well. If you want, I can help you draft that text so you can easily copy it into a document on your end.
That makes sense. So at the moment, if this might be flipped at your end, I'll try to unflip it on post. But this is the right now plan. We have a screen recording or screen handling service or a LLM kind of stuff, which is ScreenPipe, and we have a Chat GPT to think what is happening inside the screen, and we have a database. And I also need one more thing, which is instead of API calls, I need a MCP server. Let me just update that to ChatGPT as well. So before we start, I have one more request. So how does these things be connected to each other using a microservice, right? Like, can is it like an API call, or is there any other options, more better or secure options?
Yeah, typically microservices communicate with each other using APIs, often through REST or GraphQL, which is a really common and flexible way to do it. Another option is using something like gRPC, which can be more efficient and faster, especially for internal communications. For added security, you can also implement things like mutual TLS for encrypted communication between services, or use a service mesh like Istio to manage that
Could you
communication more
please
securely.
explain like REST, graph, gRPC, and everything's a bit slower? I'm kind of writing it here.
Of course, no worries. So REST is a way for services to communicate over the web using standard HTTP methods like get, post, put, and delete. It's really common and easy to use. GraphQL is another option that lets clients request exactly the data they need, which can be more efficient. And gRPC is a high performance option that uses a binary format, so it's faster and more efficient, especially for internal communication between
What do you mean
services.
by internal communication? Internal communication for whom?
By internal communication, I mean the communication that happens between the different microservices within your application. So, for example, if you have one service that handles the LLM logic and another that manages the database, the way those two services talk to each other is considered internal communication. It's basically how all the different parts of your system communicate behind the scenes to make everything work together smoothly.
That makes sense. Can you just go through like gRPC or next options as well, please?
Sure. So gRPC stands for Google Remote Procedure Call, and it's designed to be super fast and efficient. It uses a binary format to send data, which makes it quicker than something like REST that uses text-based JSON. It also uses something called protocol buffers or protobuf to define the structure of the data, which makes it really strongly typed and efficient. It's great for internal communication between microservices, especially when performance is a key concern. It also supports features like streaming, so you can send a continuous flow of data, which can be really powerful in certain applications.
What are the other options as well? You were saying some more.
Another option that people sometimes use for microservice communication is a message broker like Kafka or RabbitMQ, instead of direct service-to-service communication, one service would publish a message to a channel and another service would subscribe to that channel and receive the message. This can make the system more decoupled and scalable, and it can handle large volumes of data so really efficiently. So it's another great tool depending on what your needs are.
No, this is for just an individual, right? So I don't think you need a lot of data. It's just once the LLM kind of understands a pattern, the only thing that I think the LLM would struggle is understanding different screen layout. Like if you go to, for example, if you go to Accenture's job portal, its layout is different compared to if you go to try to apply a job in OpenAI, which would be different if you try to go to apply a job in Perplexity's careers hub, right? So like the screen pipe should also understand the layout of the whole screen, and the LLM also should understand where the name column is, where the surname column is, ethnicity column, like reason why you are applying this column, this thing, right? Does it make sense for you?
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense. Each website is going to have its own unique layout and structure. So the combination of ScreenPipe and the LLM needs to be flexible enough to understand and adapt to those differences. The LLM can definitely be trained or fine-tuned to recognize patterns and fields on different pages. And we can also use some additional logic or machine learning models to help identify and map out those fields. It's definitely a fun challenge to tackle.
Got it. Have you heard about MCP servers?
MCP can refer to a few different things, so it kind of depends on the context. Sometimes it stands for something like master control program in older computing contexts, or it can stand for model context protocol in some AI settings. If you have a specific MCP in mind, let me know and I can definitely dive into
I'm
that.
thinking of using MCP as in model context protocol over API calls. So can you implement that in the current system, or is it like a bad idea?
Using something like a model context protocol can actually be a really interesting approach, especially if you want to maintain a rich context and have more sophisticated communication between services. It's not necessarily a bad idea at all. It can actually enhance how your services understand and share information, especially in an AI driven system. It just depends on your goals and how complex you want the architecture to be. It can definitely add some sophistication to how everything works together.
But I think we should add the MCP server. Uh, I think ScreenPipe also have an MCP server. So I think we are using ScreenPipe's MCP server. Okay, now I'm just going to cut the voice chat and give me the documentation. Okay.
Got it. I'll put together a summary of everything we discussed so you can have a clear documentation outline for your project. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Okay, guys. Right now, phase one is kind of completed. They would give me the documentation. So, in the voice command, you can't actually ask for the documentation, or chat function won't be open. So, I'm going back to the chat function and I'm just trying in. Can you please give me the propose? Give me the project description documentation that we were talking about to build in Cursor. I think it will take a little bit time because it has to go through a lot of stuff. In the meanwhile, I'll just show you my current cursor. So this was damn correctly here, bro. Okay, I'll cut that out. There is an API call there, but fair. Um, this is the thing that I was trying to build, and you can see like the whole left side, you can see a lot of subfolders, which half of it I built it, not half, probably the first 25 percentage I built it on Python on VS Code. Then I got to a point where I'm like wasting time, right? Then I used the cursor to build this one, and screen pipe is on terminal. I think this is a very bad setup, mostly because I was using Microsoft Azure, and I think that it was just a ego trip that happened in my mind, and I thought like, okay, Microsoft Azure, if I use and learn it, it will be a big thing. But for this project, I found out that it's not a good option. So let me just close this first, right, and run once more. By the way, guys, for this month, I had used the Cursor premium. So we can. I'm doing like 2 months premium because my dissertation would be over in 2 months from now. So that's the new updated job board. Pretty good name. Let's go. Let's see. And open. Cursor is done. Now cursor, like cursor have cursor agents, which is pretty interesting. And ChatGPT kind of split everything. Okay, can you be more specific and explain everything, and also explain the connectivity errors that might happen between the micro services, and also explain in detail the logic behind picking everything, and anticipate the errors that might come while building this, and tell them as how you want to get from a user in order to build this app efficiently and effectively. First of all, effectively. Is efficiency and effectiveness the same? Guys, if you guys are using Mac OS, this is a really good update. So Mac has really updated the Mac AI, and the only thing that I really love is this writing tool. This is ChatGPT, guys. If I just write it, make more concise, right? You'll see this. This is, I think Copilot sucks. Windows portion, Mac series sucks so bad. But this thing really helped me. If you're writing emails and stuff, you can use the microphone to use the audio to text feature and just outline the email and just use this. And this is so much better, right? But right, I feel I'm smarter. So let's go there. Right. ChatGPT. So at the moment we are at 9 o'clock, and since it's UK, it's like freaking 5. The sun is just there. I feel like I should be sitting that side, but the view is not good. So I think we are halfway through. My goal is to just get a very minimum viable product so that I can um, show it to somebody, then try to figure out how to build from there. I think one limitation for me is my technical aspect. I'm not saying I'm a bad developer, but I don't have that many years under me to be more proficient in developing. That is not a really flaw, right? I'm really good at marketing and I'm really good at problem solving, but it's just that I can kind of get help from somebody who's really into this field for like 10, 14 years. My life was morely contributed to marketing and problem strategy, solving analytics and stuff like that. So yes, I think I like if I'm producing this to the open world, I think I need to have a co-founder or a guy who knows coding well. I think if we get that, that would be a really good portion. But also, I think I'm going to use the chat GPT to understand this journey and figure it out. At the moment, guys, I'm using productivity apps in ChatGPT, which is really nice. Yesterday, I kind of read a book, uh, Essentialism, I guess. Essentialism or existentialism. I'm not sure, which was a really interesting read. Most of the book I read is like audiobooks. I rarely read book. Only read books I read is like one was AI 2034, which doesn't have an audiobook. So I took it from the library and I'm just reading it a page a day. Another book is there, but I'm not going to say it now. But let me just see what is happening here. Let's just read it through. Network timeout, connectivity refusal, DNS server issue, API mismatch, authentication, logic mechanics, blah blah blah. Okay, so I think we need a node file as well, just because. Sorry guys, that's just my internship stuff. I think you need to cut it down. This cursor has a limit. No. Oh, Apple recently released this feature for window clicking. La di da, man. You guys are Apple. You should release it in the first Mac OS after Windows has released it. You, a lot of things Windows copied from you guys. Come on, level the playing field, man. I really think after Steve Jobs is away, Apple's innovation speed is so low. Okay, project title. Blah, blah. I need to copy this to get it a better context. And I need to copy this to give it the this thing. Just copy this one, go to cursor, paste it here. Let's see, and let's see what will happen. Cursor's update, man. Won't be a big issue. This is why I had a map here. My section is empty. Can you please read this document and give me that? You can ask me. You can ask me any questions if you want. Okay. Cursor is asking me questions. I'm going to ask the chat GPT. Copy and paste the content. Share, upload the document for the workspace. Oh, so Cursor doesn't have text issue. So I think it doesn't read text much, but that's fine. You just need to have a screenshot. So readable. This is fine. Fish, fish. I'm also doing the screen recording, so I can't. Okay, let's see if this works. Is that an issue? Let me try one more time. Hit me, baby, one more time. Okay, yes. I think Lady Gaga is the duck here. Okay, there is a couple of questions. Okay. Thank you for sharing the screenshot documents here. I can add title job. Job is a web application that helps users find jobs of their on their skill preference user register logins. No. Okay. I think I need to go to ChatGPT again. That logic is not sound. Um, Let me go to this thing. So, can you just give me another update on the project? So, my job board is not actually finding the right job. That is the finding the right job is the job for the individual who is using the service. But the job board is like I can give the job bot a specific URL that I want to apply, and the job bot goes through that URL and applies the whole process, like 3 4 steps. Like there will be a name, kind of stuff, and everything like that, and that will be updated by the job bot. And also give me a little more. I will ask you a couple of questions and I will also give the answers as well. Please give it in a documentation format. Like, do you want the user to authenticate, sign in or sign up with email password, or should we use social like Google, LinkedIn, etc.? I think Google would be better. Should the job posting be added only by the admins or the employees, or can user or employees post job board as well? Only the user or employers should be updating the job. So that is the point that I was telling you before. Like, finding the relevant job is the user's task, and applying to the user's link is the job board task. Do you want the resume upload or tracing feature? No. Resume upload feature should be there, but you won't edit it or anything on the resume. But I think if you are tailoring the application to a specific job, then the resume should be updated with the same format. I think if you're using chat gpt's system, it if I upload a doc, it can be uploaded as a it can be downloaded back as a doc as well. Any specification of UI design, or should I use a modern or clean template? I think a clean template would be fine. There is no specification. As long as it works, it works. That's the main. I think right now we are only trying to find a minimum viable product. Emphasis, like we are trying to find a minimum viable product, just a product that works. That's it. It shouldn't be fancy technology and all. You can cut down. Should the app be contained under Docker or a simple local system? ChatGPT, can you just give a better explanation? Like, what would is like if the complication of Docker is higher, then leave it. If it is a simple local setup is better, then simple local setup would be affordable. At the moment, I just need a minimum viable product. This voice to text feature is brilliant here, bro. Like, yeah. Okay. I was literally scared for a second. I was like, Would it not show up? I would look like a stupid person, but no, it showed up. I think like Word did had that feature, but ChatGPT just runs so much better now. Right. So blah 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 blah. No PDF upload, only doc upload. Doc upload is enough. Okay. Job and URL. User receive feedback. Say this is okay. Call returns. This where are we going with this world, man? Like, where are we going? So, is the I really don't think this narrative that coders can be replaced by AI. I think there was a class which I had a Harvard professor in computer science and sociology coming in. And sociology might not, the designation might vary, but she was from Harvard, so everybody who's getting in Harvard has a minimum standards that I mean not minimum standard. There's so much credibility behind in order to get in, right? So he was saying like if somebody says job bot like AI is going to replace coders, then it is the person who is inventing the AI coding system, right? So if I if my job bot is like I if I'm like evaluated like 10 million for 100 million for my job board, I would not go to news and say, you know what, job board does do work, but still the URL should be given by the person. There is a capability, that advantage is not there. No, right? I would be like, it's an end-to-end job board. It can move mountains, it can fly over Mount Everest, right? So all the time you have to keep in mind, like if somebody is pushing you some kind of agenda, I think they will have some kind of incentive to it, right? So that is done. I am going to paste it here. Oh, now it pasted, bro. La 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 la. Okay, what is this? One should confirm. More questions, dude? Seriously? React.js, okay, for I think I like React.js because the cloud is around the React.js. Let me do one more here. So there are a couple of question and answers, which you just do it in a doc, like a Word file. Sorry, not Word file. Just give it a question and answers and output me like before. First question is front end framework. Is React.js your preferred choice for UI, or are you open to alternative like Next.js or plain HTML.js? Try to, like I said, minimum viable product. I don't really care, but I think React.js is the newest thing in the thing. So I'm slightly lenient, but if it is complication is there, I would, whatever you select, ChatGPT, please think for yourself and say like whatever your selection is, it should be simple. HTML is way better, but I think React.js, everything is a bit more technically better. Or like for a code AI coding software, which is better, select that, right? I can change it after some time. Second is backend automation. Are you okay with using Puppeteer or Playwright? I think right, for the front end issue, use the Node.js one, and backend automation use Playwright as well. So I think Node.js would be connecting there. I think that will be strong. Resume storage. Should the resume be stored temporarily on the server or just a memory for automation session? No, resume should be stored permanently, but the resume can be updated uh, according to the job post, right? So the point is, like I have a base resume where my previous experience is there, my education qualification is there, my intro portion is there, my skill set is there, but it has to be tailored to different jobs, and keyword search and everything like that should be there, and it should be ATS friendly, right? So there should be a base resume which is there, which person can update regarding, like if they are doing an internship at the moment, they can update it regularly. But that base resume should be stored permanently in the system. But the temporary resume for the each job that you're applying can be kind of not stored in the memory per se. It can be used as a temporary way to just upload it there and delete the memory, so that database shouldn't be overloaded. Screenshot. So should the screenshot of filled form or submitted form be shown to the user or an error or always? I think if you are using screen pipe, it will take control of the screen. So at the time when the software is running, the user cannot access any screen because his whole computer screen is being used by screen pipe, and you are kind of giving 1 hour for the computer to apply, right? That is a better thing. Errors and everything, I at the moment show to the user, so that because I am the user, so I'm testing it at the moment, show to the user so I can see what is the error, and I can understand and give cursor AI a better feedback on how to solve this error. Extra fields, should a UI allow extra fields like LinkedIn URL, or should no everything, name, email ID, phone number, everything. I think name, email ID, phone number, resume can be given, and this is a dynamic process. So if you go through multiple jobs, there will be other areas like ethnicity, um, why are you passionate about doing this job, current address, and more. I'll list you up, but that should be a dynamic aspect. So after some time, the job bot can ask, oh, I need this thing from you, so can you just provide me this information? Testing. Do you have any specific job boards you want to prioritize for manual testing? I can give you a couple of URLs at the moment. Can you please go through this and give me an update? So we need to find a couple of job boards. That's so easy. Analyst, marketing. Mm, right. Okay. UI is issue jobs. Mm, I've seen this company a lot though. Okay. At the moment, let's just use this. Oh shit. Okay. Okay. I wanted this one to be in there. So let's see if this thing happens. Wait a minute. We can't copy the link yet. We need to wait for this one to finish. Yes. Are you guys excited about this AI revolution, or are you guys like, "No, I don't want to be involved in this"? This is scary, right? Back, like you see, it's scary once the cursor runs. It's scary for me because that's why I took the premium, right? Because it was $20. It's like me buying a high code coder for God knows how much, man. How much like a good developer would be paid here, like 25,000 per month. We are getting at £20 per month. It's a cruel world, guys. It's a cruel world. La, 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 la. Okay. Now we go here. This is the one, right? No? Is this the one? Yes. And we just go. Okay. I need one more job. Is it like, have you ever noticed, right? Everybody kind of lenient to jobs which are very popular. And is that why people are not getting the jobs? Right? Pretty issues like sign in home symbol. Like these guys won't let me. But let's see. Okay. Resume storage. Do you want your database example monogram SQL or storage? Okay. Don't know about this monogram SQL at all. Let's go ChatGPT again. Hi. So for resume storage, right? Would you prefer MonoDB or SquareLite, or do you have any other like for a local, very basic system?
For a simple MVP, something lightweight and easy to set up would be ideal. SQLite is a great choice for a local file-based database because it's straightforward and doesn't require a separate server process. Is perfect for minimal setups and easy to migrate from if you scale up later. MongoDB is also a solid option if you prefer an NoSQL approach, especially if you anticipate more complex query or larger data sets in the future. But for a basic local-only MVP, SQLite is often the easiest and quickest way to get started.
So what about Pinecone and vector database though?
Pinecone and other vector databases are specifically designed for handling high-dimensional vector data, which is great for things like semantic search, similarity comparisons, and working with LLM embeddings. If your main goal is storing and managing traditional resume data, text-based structured information, a standard database like SQLite or MongoDB would be simpler and more appropriate. However, if you plan to implement advanced features down the line, like matching resumes to job descriptions using semantic similarity, then incorporating Pinecone or a vector database would make a lot of sense for that specific use case. For the MVP, though, keeping it simple with something like SQLite is probably the most efficient approach.
Okay, let's start with SQLite. Uh, so another question is user authentication. So do we need to use Firebase authentication for EC with React or custom Node.js for authentication? I think Firebase would be better, right? What do you think?
Firebase authentication is definitely a great choice, especially for an MVP. It integrates seamlessly with React, is easy to set up, and provides robust, secure authentication out of the box, including features like Google Sign In, which you mentioned earlier. Using Firebase also means you don't have to worry about managing your own authentication server, which simplifies development and maintenance. So, yes, Firebase would be a solid, efficient choice for user authentication in this project.
So for the UI UX minimal clean UI, should I use component library like Material UI or Chakra UI for speed, or stick to the custom minimal? I think stick to something which is like we don't have to do anything from scratch. Use services, right?
Using a component library like Material UI or Chakra UI is definitely a good idea. These libraries offer a lot of ready-made, beautifully styled components that will speed up development and help you maintain a clean, professional look without needing to design everything from
Right, right.
scratch.
I think whatever, like, just remember what I'm saying, right? Whatever works in the system better, use that. I don't mind if it is Material UI or Chakra UI. Okay. Now the next question is development. Local system for now. Should I provide simple script for running both front end and back end together? What do you think? Together?
Absolutely. A simple script to run both the front end and back end together would be really helpful for local development. This ensures everything starts up seamlessly and makes it easier for anyone working on the project to get things running quickly. You could use something like a simple NPM script or a basic shell script that launches both the front end and the back end servers at the same time. That way, everything is streamlined and easy to manage in a local environment.
Sure. Then extra fields, please provide a list of common extra fields you want to start with beside the core ones. Could Do you know how job application process goes by? Do you have a recognition of like what would be the usual extra fields are there? Like, can you give me a couple of examples, maybe like 10, 15, or 20? Or just give me like 7 examples at the moment, but think about like 20 or something.
Absolutely. Here are some common extra fields that often appear in job application forms beyond the core details like name, email, phone number, and resume. LinkedIn profile URL. Many employers ask for a link to the candidate's LinkedIn profile. Current address. Some applications require a full mailing address or at least the
Yeah,
city and state.
remember this one as well, right to work in UK. That one is there, and since this is for people who are immigrants and who are not British citizens yet, so our choice should be having semantic something like we have right to work here, but we are not a citizenship, like graduate visa or postgraduate visa,
Got
postgraduate work visa or something. Okay, just keep in mind to give me like 20 such cases, right? Now the last question is testing. Any other URL you want to add or initial for manual testing? I'll just add that. Can you just give me? I'll give you that. Okay. Now job proposal structure is that. So can you just give me that text file back, please?
Absolutely. Here's a summarized version of all the.
Okay. Now we say, please give me the summarized version. Is that the one? No. This is why you don't do the chat. Okay. I'm gonna. We are going to the same thing. I'm gonna give you some questions and answers, and you will just give me the text thing reply, please. So, resume storage. Do you like use database? Sorry. Do you want to use database? Do you want to use a database? Example, MongoDB or SQLite, SQLite. I want to use SQLite for storing user profiles and base resumes for local file storage for the MVP. The second question is user authentication. I will set up Google authentication for sign in. I want to use the Firebase authentication with React or anything that is having service. We don't need to build anything from scratch, but keep your options wide, because I just want you to make the system so whatever works, and you can switch between any services, but don't build anything from scratch. UI UX is like minimal clean UI. Should I use a component library like Material UI or Chakra UI? Yes, definitely. Don't make a custom CSS model, but use any services like Material UI or Chakra UI, whatever works or better fits into the structure and doesn't have error. That use that. Um, Either Chakra UI or Material UI, I'm not sure. Like, try to minimize the cost if there is a subscription model. Development, local setup for now. Should I provide a simple script running both front end and back end together? Whatever works. I think if you do front end and back end together, there might be a clash or something like that. So I think together, if it works and for the minimum viable product, yes, I would like that. But if there is a clash between running or something is separate, also I don't mind, as long as it works. Use your computation to understand that. So extra fields, please provide a list of common extra fields that you want. So ChatGPT, can you just summarize like 20 more extra fields that are there? Especially look for extra fields like are you able to work here in UK? And the answer should be like yes, I have a graduate visa or a student visa or um, postgraduate work visa. The last question is, and also add a lot more extra work questions that usually the job application process asks. The last question is testing. Any form of URLs you want to add for initial testing? Yes, I will add that at the moment. So give me the rest back. I really don't think AI will replace developers. Like it might replace low developers in high high rated companies, but there will be always a section where people who are not having development knowledge kind of hires people who are not having big developing knowledge, maybe startup or something like that, right? The cost issue. uh, but yeah, I think people who are having developing background also having like AI resources, I think they are going to shine for the next thing. Mm, right. So we go perplexity, because I know. Um, can you please list uh, 12 job posting which are not like LinkedIn posting, which are posted in their official websites like OpenAI, Perplexity, uh, TCS, Shell, Apollo, like top companies, right? And give me the right job profiles aligning to analytics, data analytics, business analytics. and give me job profiles which are more to analytics background, like business analytics, data analytics, but it should not be a LinkedIn apply, but outside LinkedIn, Glassdoor and everything like that. I think it will work. So if I click this, it should ideally be going, yeah? Right, boy. We got it. We got it. We got it. We're gonna just copy this, paste it here. What's your bet, guys? Will I be able to successfully develop this thing, or will I crash and burn in between? Could you give it in UK? Right. Still perplexity. Right. Data engineer. Or Michael Page. I think that was a recruiting agency or a company. I heard that company a lot. Well, job market is so hard, man. Michael Page again. I think it's the company, I guess. Mm, why didn't they do like JP Morgan or something? Senior consultant, yeah. I guess so. Alright. So, told you not to go to LinkedIn or Indeed. It's again going to LinkedIn. Principal data engineer. Whose principal are you? This job, there should be like a standardized job role posting name, man. Like companies are like, let me be creative about it. It's kind of making me. Ah, I think that is done. Come on, Cursor, don't ask me. Oh my god, bro. The question round, bro. I shouldn't have. Yeah, it's a question I answer. It's okay. I think it will start now. Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. No. Let's start building and ask me anything. Yeah, I think if you use another microservice, it will be better. Yes, do you see this trend going on? Like newer companies are just a wrapper around older companies. Like a lot of companies are just OpenAI and Perplexity, but having the API calls and got it, guys. We have started. I don't know why we start by running backend. Need to install Node.js as well. Guys, I'm going to take a little bit of break here, and we'll do the same section again. It's only half an hour at the moment, but I'm going 40 minutes. So 9 o'clock we started. Whenever we are going to the next session, I'll be recording again.